Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Yes, so in this week's video, as we sort of left off from last week's, we're going to sort of let you know exactly how we're getting on with our new lithium battery that we've had installed in the Caravan, and things that you need to think about when actually sort of going off grid. Unlike at home, obviously we had the Caravan on the drive, south facing, so again it got sun from early hours of the morning till late in the evening, so again the battery was always maintained at 100%. And so it didn't matter what we used, it was getting recharged as we went along. However, this pitch will be a real test for us actually, because where we're located is under a number of trees, so actually we probably won't see the sun on the panel until about sort of 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we might get sort of 5 or 6 hours of solar charging. So we'll see actually how we get on here, and for the couple of days to start with, it looks like it's going to be sunny, and then the last couple of days before we leave, it looks like it's going to be a bit hit and miss, both rain and sort of sunny spells. So yeah, we'll see exactly how we get on keeping this maintained. Obviously, like I said, there's 6 of us in this van. We're going to be using it for charging phones, obviously using the shower and that kind of thing, radio, sort of the usual. So again, yeah, I'm interested to see exactly how well this battery will actually keep up with our needs. So one of the biggest challenges I face, being a family of 6 and 4 of those being girls, is obviously hair dryers and straighteners. So that's one of the things that I'm not able to power from this setup currently. So again, the girls are having to sort of go down to the shower blocks and use the facilities there to be able to sort of, yeah, do what they need to do. So yeah, that's not going down too well. But again, we need to test these different scenarios out, and to do that we've got to do it properly, otherwise it's not really a fair test. So yeah, something I'll need to think about and overcome in the future, but certainly for what I'm trying to achieve this weekend and just seeing how the battery will cope with just the basics, that's sort of the initial test to start with. And again, that will lead on to understanding actually, would I need a second solar panel if I was wanting to sort of keep this and go for longer periods of time, or actually I can get away with just the one panel. But yeah, obviously the sun actually being out will play a massive factor in this. So I'll go over a couple of the different things that you need to think about the changing the settings or items that you won't actually have available to you, as you won't have too faulty to actually power the devices. So when it comes to the kitchen items, obviously no change for your gas cooker. Obviously clues in the title, that's gas, so there's no issue on that. Obviously when it comes to a cup of tea, you won't have 240 for your actual kettle, so again you'll need something like this to be able to obviously heat up a cup of tea. But again, no issues with that whatsoever. Quite fun actually, and the kids actually like the whistle, so again something new that they've not experienced before. So you won't have the microwave available to you, so again that is not an option for you. Your fridge, you would just select the option to run off with gas instead of electric, and again that's obviously no issues with that whatsoever. And then the other side of the things you need to think about, obviously our water heater is under there, and again that's about just setting on the panel, setting that to gas only and no mains. And on the panel you would just come into here, and then you can go down through the options. And obviously at the moment we've just got it set up to use gas, because that's the only thing that we got available to us. And you know what, you've got gas depending on your panel, but obviously we've got a G for gas and the water's in place. And again, yeah, all seems quite straightforward at the moment. I don't think it's actually dropped off of 13 since we've had it, but again I'll keep you posted in terms of the figures. So I thought I'd take a quick moment just to thank this week's sponsor, who are EcoTree Lithium. As I said in last week's video, obviously they cater for all your lithium needs in terms of batteries, so I'll drop a link to the website below, so if you're interested in making the transition from lead acid to lithium, you'll be able to find all the sort of product range and information that you need on the website. And as always, if you've got any comments, obviously drop them below, I'll come back and answer them. But again, you should be able to find everything that you're looking for on that website. So over the 4 days we're here, I'm going to give you a bit of a breakdown of exactly how the lithium battery is going. Once in the morning, just to show you exactly how much we've consumed that evening and during the night, and then once in the afternoon to show you exactly during the difference between the two readings how much it's charged itself back up, because we won't actually be in the van during that time. Normally we're out and about, so again it will give us a good idea exactly the conditions that on that day and exactly how much percentage wise we're getting back into the battery, and then obviously before we leave we'll show you exactly what we've consumed and what we have to play with, and hopefully we've actually got enough power to get the motor mover back on the drive. I have another challenge. I can see the sun being blocked out in the mornings and then late afternoon being okay. The time is 10 to 7. Let's see what the battery's doing. It is at 99%, and I'll give you an update in the morning once we've used the lights and the pump and everything, how much that's drained and how much this shadowing of the trees affects the different charge. So this was our solar usage over the 4 days. The only one real change that we made was from the Friday evening. Now during that drop, that was one of the key factors, was we had the awning light on, which we'd normally tend to do when we go out and about of an evening, but again that was obviously consuming quite a lot of power as well, so that was the only one change that we made, by switching that off of an evening and not use that at all. And the other thing just to note here is on this Sunday morning at 75%, that was sort of an estimate though, where I didn't actually capture what the reading was because we were rushing out the door to head to Wembley for the Saints game. So yeah, other than that, this is the true reflection of what we consumed. So this was the last reading I took, and yeah, it just shows you obviously we got it down to 69% over those 4 days, which I think is really good, considering there's 6 of us in that van, all charging different devices, and then the actual devices that actually make the function the Caravan itself. So yeah, a 30% or give or take was a good result in my eyes. So this is the Victron app, and again you've got the history option, and you can go in there and it just shows you exactly what the battery's been doing and the solar conversion. Rightio, so we're back from our travels, and as you've seen from the figures, we survived. So again, the off-grid side of things was a success, and obviously from the readings you've seen what we've consumed during those days we were away. And as I sort of pointed out, and as you've seen, some of the weather that we had, the conditions were a bit hit and miss. So yeah, it wasn't sort of a simple test of just being in the middle of a field with sun first thing in the morning till late in the evening. Again, we had trees to contend with and obviously a mixture of weather conditions. Now based on those conditions and the amount that we consumed, I would honestly say if we had been in the middle of the actual park itself and we were getting solar throughout the day, we wouldn't have had any issues whatsoever in terms of it being fully charged all of the time. Obviously we only had solar from when it was nice conditions from about 2 o'clock onwards, and even then it was still a bit hit and miss. So again, we were sort of seeing gains of sort of anything from 4 to 8% in terms of battery increase. But yeah, like I say, we were sort of monitoring what we were using, but again, as I sort of pointed out to the family, I didn't want them not to use the Caravan in the same way as they would have, certainly in terms of charging phones and devices. Otherwise that doesn't give us a true reading either. So the kind of devices we were charging either through the day or in the evening obviously were the usual sort of suspects, the iPhones, iPads, watches, power banks, and that kind of thing. So again, yes, they weren't running off a 240 volt, so it wasn't a high output, but certainly from 12 volt it got the job done in terms of, yeah, just making sure that we were using the different ports that we had available when other devices were charged. So again, it was just sort of just thinking ahead on that front, that was all. So one of the main things for us to think about going forward is how I would actually power something like hair straighteners and hair dryers. Obviously not a problem for me, but certainly something for the girls. Otherwise I'm going to end up getting murdered at this rate if I'm not careful. So yeah, obviously you've got different sort of larger power banks that you could use, or an inverter itself hooked up to the lithium battery. But again, I'd need to do a bit more research and understanding what would be a suitable size if I was to go down that route, and also again, what was the sort of drain on the battery by using such devices, because again, an inverter will certainly have a huge impact on that, but again, to what degree I'm not sure. So something we'll need to look at going forwards. The other upshot of a power bank would be, obviously we could charge our devices from that instead of the actual main Caravan, but again, that's only going to last us so long. So again, we'd have to look at ways of actually charging that up, whether that would be actually taking it somewhere else where there is 240 when we're out and about, but again, that sounds a bit of a hassle, or if it's got an actual solar feature to actually charge that when there is sun available. So yes, a few options to think about going forwards. And based on those figures and that setup that we had, I think it was a really good test overall for that actual long weekend away. Like you say, it's not a case of, oh, I'm sort of talking to you guys and yeah, we've had 4 days of sun and it's sort of, yeah, not a true test in terms of, yeah, different weather conditions. As you saw, we were stuck behind trees. We had a mixture of different weathers throughout the day. So again, I think it was a really, really good test in terms of actually how well this lithium battery performed. And the other thing to think about, obviously, because we were limited in terms of daylight hours to regenerate that battery, obviously having the new controller and maximizing that additional 30% conversion in energy, again, was a sort of game changer as well. So again, it really does add up by having this kind of setup. One of the things you could do if you are looking at going off grid is just having a phone call with the actual campsite and actually find out what your pitch is and whether it's actually under any trees going forwards. I didn't really think about it this time round. Obviously it helped me to sort of make this more interesting in terms of different conditions, but certainly something that I would do in the future, and just ask for that sort of pitch where I could maximize the sun and just let them know what we're up to on that front, and hopefully they can sort of either move people around, or you get in there early enough to be able to sort of request a pitch that is going to sort of maximize the sun usage if there is some available to you, which is obviously always the gamble. So I've said a few times now, obviously this is looking towards a cheaper holiday. The other thing you just need to consider is, obviously by not having the 240, obviously you're using more gas. Not a huge amount in my opinion, so it's not, it wouldn't sort of equal out like for like in terms of cost savings, nowhere near, but just things that you need to consider. Obviously you're going to use more of it. For us, it wouldn't have been a huge difference. We used the gas oven as normal. Realistically, it was only really going to be the fridge that we've sort of increased the sort of overall usage of, because when we use the hot water in the mornings, because we are actually using the shower 9 times out of 10 actually in the van, I put it onto gas just to get that water heated up a lot quicker, and we do a lot of cooking outside on the barbecue as well. So overall it's probably not too much difference than we would normally consume gas wise. So I would still see that as an overall saving, but yeah, something that you need to factor in. So as I sort of said earlier, some of your main devices that won't work are going to be your microwave, your kettle, your toaster, your beloved air fryer, those kind of things. So again, you will need to think ahead about what you are going to actually cook and how you're going to cook them. Again, it's not really too much to worry about. Again, there's always multiple ways you can do it. Sometimes, yes, off grid it'll take a little bit longer, But again, it really depends on what options you've got available to you. Again, if you had a power bank, potentially you could sort of run air fryers and microwaves actually off of that if you needed to. So there is different options there. You just need to think about what you're going to do and how you're going to use them. So the other benefits of having a lithium, obviously they work completely different in terms of outputs than lead acid. When you get to lead acid and it goes down to 50%, it's pretty much done for. You're not going to be powering very much from that. And obviously it depends on the age of your lead acid battery as well. So again, you may see it actually drawing and dropping quite rapidly, depending on sort of how well that battery's been maintained. Now obviously with a lithium, obviously it will continue going down and give the same output from 100 all the way down to sort of 10. So again, it's just has a different way of outputting that power. Also, the battery they have in this van now has a BMS system built in, so a battery monitoring system. So if it detected it got to a stage where it was sort of running out and getting to that critical stage, it would switch itself off. So again, you're not actually damaging that battery. So it is smart in terms of actually sort of protecting itself. Again, unlike a lead acid battery, where I'm sure a few of you have been there before, where you've left things on accidentally, radios, whatever that may be, it's then continuously drawing, whether you've put that into storage, and again that battery's gone completely dead. And actually it doesn't take a lot for you to actually kill that battery, and then you're looking at another sort of £180 to actually replace it. And again, the value is going to change depending on the size of the battery and the quality. So again, this is where we start talking about it. Actually, yes, it's an investment that costs you more to start with, but again, you reap all the benefits later on. So overall, I really can't fault this battery at this moment in time. Like I say, it's still early days, but in terms of its performance and output, it's been flawless so far. Again, I didn't see any sort of difference running the Caravan off 240 versus off the battery. So yeah, I really can't fault it whatsoever. So I was really pleased on that front, and yeah, seeing the usage of that we had across the 4 days, being able to charge the devices, the lack of sun that we had, but still had sort of a huge amount of battery power left. Yeah, was great. So yeah, like I say, really got the confidence now to go for a longer period of time. But again, it's just about working out when that would be. Rightio, so hopefully this has been beneficial. Hopefully it's given you a bit of an insight of what to expect if you are going off grid, things to consider appliance wise, how you're going to charge them, all that kind of thing. Again, if you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and certainly if you've got any recommendations for hair dryers or hair straighteners for my girls, please drop a comment also. It would really help me out. Yeah, if not, I will see you all on the next one. Cheers all.